All right. So I'm picking this up again. I'm actually doing a live afternoon backstage pass, and I'm going over the HPS watch list and some of the techniques I use to find those stocks. And I think it's good information, so I wanted to record it and send it out to members after the show today. If anything goes on here, maybe I'll pass out and well, it's not funny, but it'll be live on my recording so we can hear it. Paul, you should archive those videos. Let's see what the video. I'm sure he's videotaping everything. So we left off here on the SWK, and the SWK is actually running right now. So we have 1, 2, 3 days. Remember, our optimal trade is 5 to 7 days, but would prefer to get it going 1 day, 2 day, 3 day. Who cares? As long as it's running in the right direction that we want. And every so often I'll look at that weekly too. In this case, the weekly here turned over here, so we have to consider that. You know, that's another thing. We have to thread the needle on a weekly setup. If the weekly's pushing down. There's a reason behind it. Not that we're going to have every week is going to be. Some days you could have a down week, and then the next week, and then a big down week, and an up week, and then a down week, and a down week, and a flat week, and a flat week, and a down week. So it is moving down. So here we had that down week last week, rebound this week. Do we have a follow through next week? Do we just turn back up? I mean, it's a very hard time frame to manage. So we only look at it, especially if it's just coming off the top, like it is now, or coming off the bottom. And, so I will, point that out. But overall, I think it's pretty good for our scenario playing out on the daily. The daily's heading up. So usually when the daily's heads up and gets overbought and the weekly's pointing down, that's a really good sell signal. All right, so SWK. Now, the other stock that what did I get into before I left? Oh, THO. We got back into the THO today. And it's, you know what? Nothing's setting up here perfectly. They had a trend line. We were looking for a breakout. We actually had a trade off of this back here. It was almost a closing price double bottom divergence. Higher low. Got a move. We took it off. We held on to some shares and now pulled back. And now I got back into the options. All right, so I'm back into the options here, but there's no real signal. It's no real signal. It's almost a divergence if you consider the low here and the recent, but it's not setting up yet. The good things are it looks like it is pulling back fast. It could set up as a divergence bottom. The candle could be setting up for a reversal at the end of the day. It's hard to say. It looked like it dropped hard. I didn't really see why. But there's nothing here worth putting it on the watch list for. But I am back in just to be in it. I got one option on it just to be in it, because and that's sometimes how I just want to be part of it and keep it on my screen. It'll remind me to do it. I'm willing to let it play out. That's like going to a different gambling table, getting out of the blackjack line and going over to the roulette. Just putting your cards on red or black, chips. Coop here, nice reversal. Again, I'm also thinking about adding this one. So this will be definitely something that I might consider putting back on the watch list. This was a HPS set up a couple of weeks ago, just on strength and really a pullback. Remember what this was? It was a pullback to the 50-period moving average oversold. From that point on, we had a nice rally, took out the highs, we took off our profits, and now it's pulled back, and it seems to be holding up, but it hasn't given us an exact reason to get in. It doesn't pull, if this was pulling back to the 20 and this is holding the 20, right now you can see a tight consolidation, really a coil, 4-day, 5-day coil, which is, I'm sure this is going to go one way or another pretty aggressively. Overall, down the road, I see it much higher, but this doesn't give us a high probability trade setup. I just have my own personal preferences. I think it goes higher. I'm going to continue on with the watch list here. Market's just off the highs, right up against resistance 1, pivot area. I want to show you some of the scanning techniques. Now, I have a bunch of scan. I'm using the TC2000 platform here. I want to move this platform over. I think if I move it over, you could see it. And over here is I have these bunch of scans over on my side of my work desk there. Here. It's my HPS watch list. These are the stocks that there's 202 stocks in it. These are the stocks that I continually trade and go through. These are the ones I really focus on. I like to get them on there, always use my scanners and look for HPS setups in them. But if there's nothing that shows up in them, that could be an issue, and that happens sometimes. Lots of times I'll just scan the whole market, how many stocks in the market, 10,000 stocks or something. Sometimes I'll just, scan that, but lots of times it's going to come up with junk and lots of cheap crap. So I use this scan, and if I find a stock that I find myself trading more, I'll put it into my watch list. And from that watch list, sometimes I do a visual scan every week when I'm doing this. So I'm not going to do that with you as much. But basically, I'll just start from the A to Z, click on it, and just do a visual on a daily and just look at it. I can tell right away I'm looking at certain things. I'm looking at stochastics, price, moving averages, and pattern, basically, and seeing which ones are lining up. And I could roll through those pretty fast. Like, I could pretty much go and just look, like, boom, it goes back. AFK, the African ETF, is interesting down there. Possible divergence, AFLAC. We've killed that. Remember this divergence back here? This divergence back here in AFLAC. Banged the table. It was an HPS setup. It was great. It was fantastic. Anyway, that's how I go through that. Then I have a standard. Let's see here. Well, that was Blaze. Blaze and Money had a scan. He wanted me to look at it, so I put it up there, and it gave me good results. So I kept it up there. Every so often I go to that, and then here's my. This is a divergence scan, a formula that I wrote that measures, stochastics versus price. And it kind of gives me an update if it helps me identify these. And this scans the S&P 500 constantly. If I turn this on, it'll scan it, and it'll constantly stream and scan it. So if something new shows up there, it'll pop up, but it'll also disappear if I don't look at it. So every day I look at it, and I do a visual. So now I'm looking at this CXO, and yeah, obvious. Look at this. CSO, a low and a lower low, a low and a higher low. Very nice divergence. Concho Resources. Now, that's $135. Nice price. Nice divergence. Not a nice sector for me. I just don't trade oil as much as I used to. Oil sector. So and lots of times when you get a divergence in one, you'll get it across the board. Now here is agricultural. FMC. What is this? Agricultural inputs. Basic materials. I'm not familiar with the company too much. It's showing up as a divergence from this low to this low to the higher low, barely. It's it qualifies. It has a reversal, but I'm not interested in it. NUE is another one, a steel company. The gap down reversal. You can see slight divergence here on the gap down. Again, not a commodity based trade. I don't trade too many off the commodities. Steel, oil, gas, gold. I'll leave those be. I do like trading Occidental Petroleum, Exxon as divergence trades though. The big ones. Here's another oil and gas one. And then I only had 4 of them, so that was it. So nothing really showing up there. I do have a reversal candle scan also. I use. It's called my 20-bar low hammer. So it means that it has to be a hammer. It has to take out the last 20 bars. And the hammer has to be, of course, the tail has to be 2 times the size. I think on this one it's actually 3 times the size of the head, closing in the top part of the day. And it has to take out at least the last 20 days. So this is a kind of a divergence setup. Not a divergence, a reversal candle setup here. And we look at those because any good quality name that gets hit, it usually gets hit too much and it rebounds, or or the opposite, it goes down, and you could get a feel for that sometimes early off. So I want to be, I want to be on top of those. And then I have a couple scans that I do. My potential divergence scan. A lot of these are just in progress. I build them out. I try to see how they return. And some of them I know work really good. This one is not quite a divergence. Where is it? Where is it? Large divergence. Can't find it. Approaching. Right here. So what it does is I want to now scan, and it'll tell me what I'm scanning. I'm scanning the S&P 500, and it gives me stocks that are setting up like a divergence but haven't triggered yet. So they have the potential. Usually they're oversold, and and that gives me usually gives me about 20 stocks. In this case, it gave me 23, and this is out of the S&P 500. So here, Deere, very obvious divergence. Took out the low, definitely higher. Big reversal on Deere today. Missed it. Wasn't paying attention to it, Deere. Again, here we go. Try the other ones. New Mount Mining. Not interested. Yeah. NUE came up with a divergence scan. MCHP, a microchip technology. Again, semiconductors getting hit on NVIDIA's miss. But this is interesting. This is a 5 to 7 day pullback with a reversal candle. So let's take MCHP. Is definitely looking good there. It's not a divergence, but it has a reversal. It's oversold. Lower part of this area. That's not bad. I wrote it down. Maybe we'll come back to it. What am I up to here? All right, so let's take Constellation Brands. All right, this is they got involved in the canopy growth, the marijuana. They put in a couple $1 billion investment. The public or the shareholders or anybody, the traders out there, no one really saw the beauty in this, and basically sold it off. So it's in its 3 days of a pullback. But today we're actually in a lower trend line, possible lower trend line, and a reversal candle, and a possible divergence if we turn back up. So definitely want to keep an eye on this one, STZ. CGC, take a look at fast at CGC. J-Dub here pointing out. Oh, canopy growth, yeah. And I love this. I do like this. Are we missing something here? I like the canopy growth a lot. I think other big investments, if Constellation Brands, this is one who's getting a lot of money. So they're going to, of course, lead. And if they're leading, I'm really, J-Dub, thumbs up, thumbs down on this, on your research. All right, back to the watch list now. I just started recording again. I want to go over those 3 stocks that we just did. As I was doing this, we were looking at PKG. Who gets credit for that, bringing it up on the screen? Vinny T-Tones. So big ups on that, and again you could see the low and the lower low, the low, the higher low, and the low and the lower low on the price. Then a pretty decent reversal and strength going into this. Gap down up there looks like it's worked its way out on the bigger divergence. Divergence really holding well down here also, and typically a pretty strong stock. It's been hanging around that 200. So we're going to have a problem. We're looking for a move up. The problem is, do we get through that 114? I think as we move up, we'll get a profit. Don't have to worry about it. That's why we got the money in the money calls. So the PKG, and I'll put that on the watch list. And again, these, I will get the charts out to you on these too. So the PKG will end up on there, because that's a divergence right now, and that should be a trigger right now as we got in. Constellation, what was that? What's this? Oh, the STZ. I wrote it down. I didn't do anything here with this one yet. Now, Coop, like I said before, I want to also get back into, or this, I have one call left. I think this Coop goes higher. I'm going to continue to hold on to it. I'll probably mess with that on Monday. I won't mention it on the watch. Well, I am mentioning it. This is the watch list video. Hell, makes it easy. All right. Great call. And I was actually going through a couple of these when these things, so I was in the process of doing my watch list, and just showing you some of these, like the microchip, which got hit back, and then Constellation brand. I think that's where we left off. Analog devices. This is Micron here. Micron, very interesting. This is a textbook. Let me tell you what we got here. A textbook 200 EMA. Breakdown channel line bounce. It has not bounced yet. It will be an HPS, meaning it will give you an alert when it hits this trend line. This is again, another good playbook play, one that deserves to go on the watch list. You could get in now if you consider this a reversal candle, a good candle to get in on. Then you could get in now and scale in if it comes down. Cost average in a little bit lower if it does come down to a trend line. But I will basically put out an alert for next week if we get and tag this trend line around that 44.50 area. It's 47.24, and it's actually bouncing, so we might not even get there. But that's something I love, is the tag of that. If we had a gap down on Monday or something that happened, I would be all over this. So this is our 200 EMA breakdown channel line bounce. It might be bouncing a little. I've seen these things bounce early and not, kind of just miss hitting those trend lines. So it's up to you. You can wait. You can take a position here. If it moves lower, you can bring your cost average down a little, or you can just look for the bounce here. Either way, it looks good, and it'll be on the watch list. Texas Instruments, a big reversal candle on that. All the chip stocks here. Intel, same thing. No divergence, but not a bad pattern. Again, here's a good example of a 1, 2, 3 channel. Whenever you have a 1, 2, 3 with a 200 period moving average going through it, you have that underlying chance of a trend line being hit. We actually broke down, reversed the reversal candle. So we might be seeing that in the Micron right now. We might not even have a chance to get a little lower. We should push. Either way, soon we're going to be pushing higher on Micron. And it's not a bad candle here, also on the Intel. I mean, there's other reasons to look at some of these chip stocks now. Chevron here. Starting to get down there. SWK, Skyworks Solutions. Anadarko Petroleum, we're at 14 out of 23. I'm not seeing anything there yet. T. Rowe Price. Sealed Air. It's a big channel line out here. No. Is there anything better there? No. Hey, nothing. Divergence is where it's at. I mean, we're already starting to nail them. Nothing. Netflix showing up on the screen, but not seeing the divergence. I see a 200 period moving average. Not interested. And there it is. That's it. I think that's it. 23 is applied material. And so not seeing anything on that scan. Well, maybe we did. Maybe we saw a couple. The Micron. Gone here. Back here with the video. And the other one, HSY, excuse me. HRS. Hershey Highway here. Loving the setup here. Just because it's a new trend. It's a good stock. It got hit. The momentum's carrying us up a little bit further. I think we're going to get a breakout. It seems to be holding up. We had a shot of selling off. It did not. So back above the 200 period moving average. There is a gap resistance up here at 106. I don't know if it's worth putting out there, but I wanted to bring this one to your attention because it's been something that's been looking really good lately, and it's starting to move right now. And then Apple's starting to move back up. Let me get this one. So we got that. Coop. Let's take a look at some of the ones we're holding. I think this is Paul calling me. All right, I'm back here with you. Paul is back. He just gave me a call, and he's going to jump back on the main channel. So I'm going to actually go into silent mode here. You'll see some charts. You'll get the rest of this video after the close at one point, and I'll be here. So if you're in the room or anything, you have any questions, I'll be here the rest of the day, going into the afternoon. Then I'll be back here at night doing some research. So I got to go home and to do the dogs and stuff. But anyway. Paul is back with you right now. I'm just going to go into silent mode, and I'll be in the room with you. Procter & Gamble. Let's look at PG first. Well, let me take a look at PG first, fast. PG. And now, that's one thing I have to do on my list, too, is look at the consumer defensive stocks. I haven't looked at those in a while. I felt like that move has been definitely identified by us back down here, and now if you look back, and now it's, is there a divergence here setting up? There could be. We're having a hard time getting through that 80 line. We're making new highs, but it hasn't triggered yet. I'm going to go through these. I had to go through all of them. GIS, KMB, they're all very, very strong. I tend to like these overall. I tend to like them overall. This is a nice base on General Mills. Nice base breakout. Second time we're breaking out of that line there. 200 period moving average next way up. KMB is probably similar. KMB very strong. That's actually was leading here. But you can see we're concentrating on these pullback plays and the setups. All right, I'm going to hand it back over to Paul, and I'm going to radio silence. I'll talk to you guys in a bit. If I hear anything, see anything, I'll check in on the mic. Take over, Paul. Welcome back. All right. Uh-oh. All right, back here with you. Looked at some of the consumer defensive stocks. Someone brought it up in the room. I want to go through that, but I also want to look at the bank stocks fast with you as they are pulling back. JP Morgan, again, concept of a downward channel line broken out. Now we have upward channel line. Usually you want to buy that first pullback. It's called it's stochastic rotation play. It's a channel breakout stochastic rotation. It's an HBS playbook play. It can be found in the forum under the playbook plays. It's just basically because there's so many other good setups here. This is a 1-2-3 pattern. It's also a 200 EMA breakdown channel line bounce pattern where you have an underlying trend line underneath the 200. You always bounce off of that reversal candle. Then you had a breakout, then a pullback, first pullback, and a first bounce. So I mean, this is typical of what we like to see. So right now, some of the banks actually look pretty good. Citigroup, little gap down pullback. That little pullback here, that little gap down, I mean, you might have an argument for a little divergence there. There was a nice divergence here, which gave us a nice lift higher. Goldman Sachs, another one that's always interesting. It's interesting. I'm not that interested in it, though. But someone brought up Procter & Gamble. I don't know if this was caught on the tape or not, but this, is there a divergence here playing out? Here's a reversal candle. Are we going to follow through to the downside? I am cautious on this. Cautious on, on how to read this. Even though it's been showing some strength, it's actually showing some weakness now. It's considering the markets were up against the highs. This was going sideways. The truth is, and I hate to, I don't hate to do it. I mean, I hate to short sometimes this market, but this does look like a potential short. You had a nice run up here. You had a divergence here into a wedge and then a big breakdown. You have a we have a potential. Let's see here. We have a lower trend line. We have a decent trend line underneath us. It's not bad. Not a bad trend line. We're pulling away from it. That's a tough one because I believe in the economy and I believe that things are going to get better. So it's hard to short. But this looks like a possible divergence, and I'm not going to pass up a divergence like this off the 200. It hasn't triggered yet, but we could read into it a little and look at that. THO, what happened here? Is the market over? No, it's not over. 346 it is. I just saw a little pop here on the THO. I don't know if that was a fat finger trade or what. And now I'm getting an alert. Everything weird going on right now. I hear people out in the hallway. I just have a big pop there. Outro pop. And what did I just get here? Some kind of alert. Severe thunderstorm heading my way. You have a little volume breakout here in THO. Not much, just a little scramble of volume, just alerting you of that. I'm going back off air. All right, another scan. I'm going to do one more. Another scan. Here's a large engulfing pattern, a buy pattern or a buy candle. And actually, let me double check here. Let me see what it says. It says large engulfing candle. That's on the 5 minute. That's why it looks weird that way. All right, here it is. And we'd like to see these actually after a gap down, the 5 to 7 day pullback and large engulfing. It could be a bottom there. X-ray. A lot of people follow that one. The BHP holding that 200 period moving average. Not interested. RSX, the Russian ETF, is too volatile. Schlumberger, oil and gas stock, a very small engulfing pattern, not worth it. And the this one is the Panasonic Corporation. That's interesting to me because I've always followed this. I've never really, really taken any big trades in this. Now it's pulled way back here. I always thought this might be a candidate for a takeover by Tesla. Believe it or not, that's the battery partner. But no, nothing there. Nothing worth looking at. A couple of cheap ones. I was deciding if I was going to put these on the watch list or not. The Veru. I mean, I will update you on it. It still looks fine. We're waiting for some news to come out on that. Actually, it looks quite good. So probably next week we're going to get that news. I would say next week is a good shot that we get some news out of South Africa contracts. The thing is it priced in? The price is holding up pretty good since we had the earnings, even though they missed their earnings estimates. But that was kind of expected, and everything's supposed to change when these contracts come in and further testing on phase 2, stuff like that. So it's actually holding up pretty good. So not and the LIXT, this is a really weird one. It's the cheapest stock I've been in years, probably the cheapest. And put out there, highly speculative, came down the pipe, and got in it. So who knows where this thing's going? I don't know. I'm still holding it, but the chart sure does look good for 48.50 cents. Chart looks a 52 week breakout. Coming from a source. So just let you know. The MRMD. Again, even though I got into, what did I get? What did I get into that cannabis trade? CGC. I bought the CGC today, and I am holding some Meramid. And you can see just a nice pullback. You know, it's almost like it wants to pop here soon. It has to be some kind of news on it, but it does look pretty good. I mean, 254 down here, holding off the lows. You know, kind of a cheaper look at the marijuana stocks. I'll have to look into that. I want to look into that a little bit more later on after I did this video, just to do some more research. I might take a bigger position in this. All right, well, I'm picking up this video. I'm back in here on Saturday, as you can see. Didn't get the original watch list out on Friday, but it's going out now. What I'm going to do is close out this video. This video was going to be, but it's getting pretty long. It's 40 minutes, and I was doing a lot of research and a lot of talking and stuff. So the next video out there, this one's always that first one, you know, with the education. The second one is going to be our official watch list video. It'll be much shorter. I'll try to do it under 10-15 minutes. That way it'll a little bit compact. You'll see all the charts, all the buy signals, and we don't have to waste any time. So, you know, you could always refer to that one for your setups. So let me do that. Let me end this video here. Just to let you know, I just did another scan. I did my big HPS watch list scan. I went through each individual stock from A to Z. There's 204, 208, 202. I can't even read it. I got a few more setups. I have a good list going into next week, so I want to stop this video now. Hope you enjoyed it, and I want to put out the official members watch list on the next video. You'll get it. You'll see it. You'll know what to do with it. All right.